Disclaimer. This video is not meant to be an exhaustive list of this ship's capabilities, fittings, and/or useful scenarios. It is simply meant to provide a strong basis of understanding for the ship and its capabilities, and further discussion about its use. Always remember to post your personal opinions in the comments below and let me know what ships I should be focusing on doing next. But now, without further ado, on to the video. Confessor, the Amarian Tech 3 destroyer, and arguably among the most iconic ships in the Amar ship lineup. With its small size and powerful Tech 3 bonuses, this ship is quick and packs quite a punch. The first area to address is the bonuses of the Confessor. These are the skill-based bonuses first. Starting with a 5% bonus to small energy turret damage, a 10% reduction to the activation costs of these turrets, and a roll bonus of 5% reduction to heat damage taken. Now this roll bonus is similar among all Tech 3 ships, and is what allows them to overheat for days. Now onto the extra bonuses, or the modded bonuses, of this ship. First we have our defensive mode. In this we get a 33.3% bonus to resist, and a similar reduction to our signature radius. In the propulsion mode, we get a 66.6% bonus to our prop mod speed bonus, and a 33.3% bonus to our ship inertia, allowing us to move faster and turn quicker. And finally, we have our sharpshooter mode. In this mode, we get a 66.6% bonus to both optimal range and fall off of our weapons, a 33.3% bonus to the damage of these weapons, a 100% bonus to our sensor strength and targeting range, and a 66.6% bonus to our resistance against weapon damps and weapon disrupts. Another area to notice is the few more bonuses in the roll bonus. And now we get a 33.3% bonus to our damage, a 95% reduction to scan probe and survey probe launcher CPU requirements. Some interesting things I found while looking through the ship stats. The Confessor is the fastest Tech 3 destroyer at a base speed of 230 meters per second. For those of you thinking the Svipul is faster, no, it has a base speed of 220 meters per second. Now, of course, the Confessor is armor tanked, so this will be penalized heavily while it is tanking and putting on rigs. So that is why, ultimately, the Confessor is slower. Another thing is the Confessor has the second lowest racial sensor strength, meaning it's the second easiest to jam amongst the Tech 3 destroyers. And the final one is that the Confessor has the worst inertia modifier among the Tech 3 destroyers. Alright, let's move on to the fittings of the Confessor. Now first you'll see here we have 6 high slots but only 4 turret slots. This leaves it commonly open for 2 NOSes or a combat or expanded probe launcher, or sometimes they even put 4 guns and 2 newts in these high slots. Next is the 3 mids. Typically in these mids all you can fit is a prop mod, a web, and a scram, or sometimes you drop the web for a cap booster when you're doing more PvE stuff, or if you think there's going to be a lot of newts around. Then there's 5 lows, which allow for a good tank and 1 damage mod. Typically I'll run a damage control, an energized adaptive nanomembrane, a a dead space rep, I typically use a C-type and an ancillary armor repper. And then you throw in that 5th slot, you throw a heat sink. This is a little bit more expensive, but this is the way I like to fly sometimes. As with all Tech 3 ships, you get the 3 rig slots. Confessor's fighting style is pretty straightforward. You want to stick outside of blaster range, but you still want to be in scram range, and this is typically referred to as scram kiting. So if you see another ship, you want to approach and try and orbit around the 7.5k mark is my personal preference. And then just keep a scram and a web on them at all times so they stay right there. Keep your prop mod on and just start orbiting them. Now you need to be wary for people trying to throw you out of your orbit. If you're not sure what this is, I recommend spending research because there are people that can explain it a lot better than I can. Another way some people use this ship, occasionally it can be used as a sniper, sort of. Put beam lasers on there, and I've seen people be able to project out to 70, 80 kilometers, but really that's not great. It's really not what you're looking for in a sniping, so for sniper you probably use a cormorant more often if you're trying to look for a sniping destroyer platform. Some popular fittings for the Confessor. Many people say that the best fit for a Confessor involves a 10MN afterburner because of its speed and its propulsion mode. I don't like this because it requires compromising either damage or tank, but in a fleet, I'm sure the 10MN can work very well. I've seen beam fits, I've seen polarized fits. I don't really recommend either of those. I'd say stick with the Tech 2 pulse lasers under most circumstances because that'll get your best DPS and you'll be able to fight quite a bit. Now, what should you engage if you're in a Confessor? So most T1 destroyers you'll be able to wreck before they can even challenge you. There might be some strange fittings out there that counter this. Also, frigates. Most frigates you can take on, except for the stupid super kitey ones such as the Worm. Those are a bad time. And that goes on to the disengaged list. I would not fight kiting ships. As a Confessor, you will get torn apart. You're not fast enough. And anything with rapid light missile launchers, just ignore it. As with most small ships going against that missile system, do not engage that. That's going to be a bad time. Of course, some people in the comments probably say, no, go for it. I would highly recommend, unless you know exactly what you're doing, do not go after ships like that. Now on to the final segment of this, the threat assessment. Now remember, these are my opinions, and do not necessarily represent the entirety of the EVE community. First off, let's look at the offense. I would label this as a moderate threat, simply because the weapons on the Confessor is very strong, oftentimes getting up to 450 DPS, which can challenge many tanks. Leads well into the next category, tank. Label this as moderate, typically because these things can move so fast and have such a low sig radius when in defensive mode, means it's really hard to hit them if they're moving at their max speed. So if they're dual rep fit, odds are they're going to be able to tank quite a bit before going down. Now the third category, the maneuverability. This ship gets a high in maneuverability simply because of its propulsion mode bonuses and the fact that the 10MN afterburner fit works so well on it. Next, the flexibility. Flexibility is rather low on here. There's no room to try and shield tank this. Its sniper fits don't work super well, and its newt fits is often really hard to do without being cap injected. So that means it can only really fit 2-3 ways at best. Now, the overall score. The Confessor gets a moderate threat. So if you see it, if it's just a lone one and you're in a ship that's heavy blaster fit and you can get on top of it real quickly, or if you're really kitey, feel free to engage it. But if you're in a Confessor and you see something that fits your engagement profile, odds are you can take it down with relative ease. Now it's bait probability. I would say very low. Mainly because of the expensiveness of the ship as well as its low durability when facing a bigger target. It can't really serve as bait, nor do people often use them as bait. I don't think I've ever seen a Confessor used as bait. People will often use something bigger and tankier or something that'll draw a lot more attention. Thank you guys for sticking around to the end of this week's episode. Be sure to tune in next week for another episode featuring whatever ship you guys suggest. If you have new ships that you want me to do, put them in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you'd like to see me do next. But until next time, guys, please take care of yourself, and I will see you later.